Hello, everyone. It's a great honor to present at this conference and learn from all the distinguished scholars here. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at SOAS, University of London. We are developing the diachronic annotated corpus of Newar by digitalizing and transcribing manuscripts and printed texts using digital humanities tools. As part of this project, we're also training a model to automatically segment Newar word compounds and tag grammatical components in sentences. Today, I will discuss a text I have been working on recently, the Batīsaputrikākathā, the story of the 32 Statuettes. Through the process of digitalizing this text, I have the opportunity to read it in great detail. In this presentation, I will examine a recurring narrative motif within the story known as the life index, the idea of placing one's life force into an external object to achieve invulnerability, a concept that appears across various literary traditions. By examining classical Newar literature through the lens of ritual studies, I will examine 3 stories that contain this motif, trace their sources and parallels, and then analyze their grounding in the ritual tradition. The Batīsaputrikākathā is the Newar recension of the Siṃhāsanadvātriṃśatikā, the 32 Tales of the Throne, a collection of 32 stories about King Vikramāditya. Narratives about Vikramāditya first gained popularity in Kashmir around the 11th century. Among those narratives, the most popular ones are the Vidala Benjaminshadi and Siṃhāsanadvātriṃśatikā. The Sanskrit versions of the Siṃhāsanadvātriṃśatikā date to the 13th to 14th centuries. The Newar recension, as studied by Hans Jungensen, is based on an 18th century manuscript. While the Newar recension shares the thematic connections with the Sanskrit versions, only 4 stories are common between them. Some stories appear in other vernacular sources, but 14 stories found in the Newar recension are unique and not found in any other versions. The gap between the Sanskrit and Newar versions indicates that this text was not directly translated from Sanskrit. Instead, it incorporates elements from vernacular traditions and local folk narratives. The Batīsaputrikākathā is on the one hand connected to the broader Sanskrit literature tradition, including the 2 epics and anthologies like the Pancharatatra. On the other hand, it retains distinctive local characteristics, reflecting Newar storytelling traditions. The stories in this collection feature numerous motifs, which are recurring narrative elements with cultural or symbolic significance. Among them, I find the life index motif particularly interesting. This motif involves a hero whose life force is stored in an external object, rendering them immune to direct physical harm, but vulnerable if that object is damaged or destroyed. 3 stories in the Batīsaputrikākathā incorporate this motif. Story 20, 24, and 31. None of this is found in the Sanskrit version. I have traced these 3 stories to explore potential parallels with other literary traditions. Story 20, the ascetic and the king, appears to be unique to the Newar recension. As neither Jungensen nor I have found any direct Sanskrit or vernacular parallels, the story unfolds as follows. A sinister ascetic, who is a sannyasi, plots to kill King Vikramāditya. He first transforms the king into a dog, but the king is restored by his guru, Subhaut. The ascetic then disguises himself as a dancer and attempts to steal the queen's string of coins, which secretly holds the king's life force. When the queen throws the string, the ascetic transforms into a peacock and tries to consume the coins. In response, the guru transforms Vikramāditya into a cat, allowing him to kill the peacock. This story contains several motifs common in South Asian folklores, such as shape-shifting, an evil ascetic seeking to kill the king, and the knowledgeable minister who saves the king's life. Here, the life index motif is central to the plot. Knowing the plan of the ascetic, the guru transfers the king's vital essence to a string of coins. He placed the life essence of the king inside a string or garland of coins. The word jiva in Newar, which is jiva in Sanskrit, refers to the life principle or vital energy that sustains the body. In this story, the guru saves the king's life by depositing his life in an external material and securing it with great effort. As long as the object remains intact, the king is safe no matter what happens to his physical body. In contrast, story 24 and 31 present a different version of the life index motif. Here, once the secret location of the life force is revealed, the hero is in danger or death when the object is destroyed. These two stories, featuring 4 companions, share structural similarities. The story unfolds as a king embarks on a journey with 3 companions. He becomes separated from them and marries a princess. In story 31, the king kills a rākṣasas whose life is placed inside jewels embedded in the pillar. The king's own life is stored in an external object. In story 24, the object is again the string of coins, while in story 31, it's a sword. An old woman or an evil rākṣasī extracts the secret from the princess and burns the object that contains the king's life. The king dies when the object is burned, but is later revived by his 3 companions. In story 24, the friends revive the king with mantra. In story 31, the friends restore his body by touching the king's body with the sword retrieved from the ashes. A similar tale appears in the Wide Awake stories, a collection of tales from Punjab and Kashmir. A prince named the Lionheart has his life stored in a sword, which an old witch burns, causing his death. His 3 companions ultimately restore him by reforging and polishing the blade. In these stories, the object containing the life essence cannot be completely destroyed, so that the hero can be rescued from death. The sword is only temporarily covered by smoke and ash, but remains complete. In all these 3 stories, the life index motif functions as a dramatic literary device that drives the plot forward. Transferring life into an external object ensures that the heroes of the stories stay alive, while the evil ones, either a rākṣasas demon or an ascetic who wants to kill the hero, are ultimately defeated. The life index motif is not unique to the Batīsaputrikākathā or Newar literature. It appears in various forms across South Asian storytelling traditions, from Sanskrit epics to vernacular folktales. This motif often serves to emphasize themes of destiny, vulnerability, and the interplay between knowledge and power. For example, in different versions of the Ramayana, King Ravana's life is stored in 5 beads hidden in a remote location or in a box buried underground. The life index motif is also found in folklore from other parts of the world and has been discussed and categorized in Fraser's Golden Bowl. I would like to provide a ritualistic perspective on understanding the life index motif. Although at first glance, some literary motifs may appear to be simple literature devices, they're often closely linked to ritual practice. For instance, the motif of obtaining a corpse for supernatural power in the Vedanta parallels the Shiva sadhana, the corpse practice found in Tantric Shaiva scriptures. The life index motif may also have connections to ritual or yogic practices in Newar Hinduism or Buddhism, particularly within the tantric tradition. While I have not found a direct ritual that explicitly describes transferring one's life force to an object for invulnerability, several related practices in Newar Hinduism involve the movement and transfer of life essence. One of the most relevant rituals is prana pratishtha, the process of infusing life into an inanimate object, typically an image or sacred vessel. In Newar Hinduism, this ritual is particularly significant in deity worship. For example, during Mohani, the Newar version of Durga Puja, prana pratishtha is performed to install the goddess's life into a sacred pot. Although this does not involve transferring an individual's personal life force into an external object for self-preservation, it echoes the belief that life essence can be transferred into material forms and objects can be temporarily or permanently imbued with divine vital energy. Another relevant ritual is nyasa, the ritual of imprinting divine energy, the practice of placing deities or mantras onto different parts of one's body through touch and mantra recitation. This is performed as a preliminary step in many tantric rituals to purify the body and construct a divine body before worship. Nyasa is very common in both Newar Hinduism and Buddhism. While the life index motif involves transferring life essence outward into an external object, nyasa represents an inward process of evoking divine presence into the body. However, they both involve the movement of energy and the idea that life force or consciousness can be intentionally relocated. Moreover, the act of touching, referring to as ta in Newar, plays a crucial role in both nyasa and the story 31 of the Batīsa. In the nyasa ritual, one should touch each part of the body and recite a Sanskrit formula to honor the deity placed at that certain part of body. For example, in the nyasa of Sapta Vidha Puja, to invite Maitreya to dwell on one's head, one should touch the head and recite Om Maitreya Hom, which is Shire Om Maitreya Hom in the ritual manual. The term ta frequently appears as an injunction in ritual manuals for both Hindu and Buddhist rituals, even outside the context of nyasa, serving as a common method of transferring energy. For example, in the Durgadi Parishodhana Samadhi, we found injunctions like Lahadana ta, meaning one should touch with hand. In the Batīsaputrikākathā, touching is the method by which life essence is transferred from an external object back into the body. In story 31, the king's life is restored when his three friends touch him with the retrieved sword. In Newar, Ntho Talpatrakhatakanā, Tivostunu, Ntho Sigma Raja Hachigal Dayavo. As soon as they had touched him with the sword Talpatra, the dead king sneezed. This plot is quite distinctive among stories featuring the life index motif. In most other versions, revival occurs only when the original life containing object is repaired. For example, in the Wide Awake stories from Punjab and Kashmir, the prince is revived only after his friends reforged and polished the broken sword that contains his life. However, in the Batīsaputrikākathā, mere physical contact with the object is sufficient to restore life. The three friends dig into the fair place to find the sword, and by touching the king with the burned sword, they transfer his life essence back into his lifeless body. Touch, as a common ritual text, serves as a conduit for transferring life essence. A third related practice is Pragaya Pravesha, entering another body. The yogic ability to enter another body. This technique appears in initiation rituals within Tantric Shaivism, during which a guru momentarily enters the disciple's body to purify their internal elements. For example, in the Shaiva Siddhanta tradition, during the initiation, the guru enters the disciple's body to cleanse his tattvas, which are ontological principles, constructing a new divine body for him. Afterward, the guru's consciousness returns to his own body through breath channel. This ritual demonstrates that the consciousness is not necessarily bound to a single physical form. It can be transferred, reside temporarily in another body, and return. The original body can remain alive even when his consciousness is absent, allowing it to temporarily inhabit another being. This technique also has literary resonance in other stories that feature the life index motif. In the three stories in the Batīsaputrikākathā, the heroes place their life force in inanimate objects, while in other South Asian folklores, a life essence may be stored in a bird on a distant mountain, or a parrot locked in a cage guarded by a serpent. These stories resonate with the ritual technique of Bhargaya Pravesha. By examining the life index motif in Batīsaputrikākathā, I have demonstrated that it is not merely a literary fantasy, but part of a broader continuum of Sanskrit and vernacular literature traditions. On the one hand, it connects with South Asian folk literature. On the other hand, it is embedded in tantric ritual knowledge, in which the transfer of life essence, whether through prana-pratishta, nyasa, or Bhargaya Pravesha, is a well-established concept. So that's my presentation. Thank you for your attention.